We had our Salem Town Hall on Sunday, Town Hall 2025, and I got to meet some fabulous people. And I'll tell you, the way we change California is by being bold. It's clear to me. And if you were at Town Hall already, just going is, in some respects, being bold. But the people there do things to take matters into their own hands to try to move California in the right direction. I met a gentleman who happens to be a carpenter, and he works at LA Unified School District campuses across Los Angeles. And one of the things that he does is he collects bulletins that are pinned on the teachers' bulletin boards inside the teachers' lounges all across the school district. Now, what he finds there is really quite stunning, and he gave me copies of what he found. This, for those of you that are watching on the stream, this is Education Workers United, SEIU, Local 99, No Kings March and Rally. So he took this off the teacher's bulletin board. Now, this is advertising to the people that are educating our children. And I'm sure this is a wildly popular event to go to if you're a teacher at LA Unified. It literally says Local 99 members will march together with other education worker unions and community allies in the massive No Kings rally in downtown Los Angeles this Saturday. That was October 18th. Now, why in the world should we have politics being played out inside our schools? If there's one place where politics should not be played out, it's in our schools. I want history taught without a political bent. I want math taught. I want English taught, and I don't need them reading LGBTQ mania books for English. Let's teach our kids the basics when it comes to education. But the people that are educating our children are people that are attending No Kings rallies. Here, I'll read more of it. No thrones, no crowns, no kings, no rulers at the top while working people struggle to make ends meet. Do you think teachers will take the talking points off of this flyer and teach it to children? You better believe they will. Look, fund education, childcare in our communities, and then crossed out, not billionaires. This has no business being posted inside a teacher's lounge. Leave your politics at home. I'm sorry, quite frankly, it's the truth. Leave them at home. Now, what else did he find? Let's go through it. I've got a letter to Los Angeles United Family. This is a letter, I guess, to all parents that was sent out. You ready for this? At Los Angeles Unified, the safety, dignity, and well-being of every student and family remain our highest priorities. In times of uncertainty, especially during periods of heightened immigration enforcement activity, it is more important than ever that families have accurate information, clear guidance, and support they need to feel safe and prepared. Are you freaking kidding me? You sent a letter to LA Unified family members, parents of students at LA Unified, that we are living in a time of uncertainty? If we're living in uncertain times, it's because you live in Los Angeles with leadership like Karen Bass and the superintendent of schools at LAUSD. It's not because of President Trump or immigration enforcement. They want you to have this family preparedness care package that offers a step-by-step guide to avoid ICE, basically. Now, I thank the carpenter that secured this for me. I wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't for him. Guidance on how to create a family preparedness plan. Free legal resources made available through our community partners. So now LAUSD is partnering with non-governmental organizations to provide legal assistance to many criminals, by the way, so they can fight to stay here. If this doesn't outrage you, I don't know what will. Information on your rights as a student and family, regardless of immigration status. Well, look, when you talk about your rights, if you're here legally, a lawful permanent resident, you have more rights than if you're here on just a visa, who has more rights than if they're here completely illegally. And if you're an American citizen, you have a whole slew of other rights. It goes in steps. The ones with the least amount of rights are the ones who snuck into this country that are here illegally, and in many respects, the ones that are not only here illegally, that have committed crime. We now know that ICE has arrested 480,000 of these illegal alien criminals. 7 out of 10 of them have either charges that they were convicted of or pending against them. And LA Unified wants to send out letters to help these people stay here. I actually think it's offensive. Here's another flyer. Look at this. We are one Know Your Rights workshops. I'm here to tell you, we are not one. If you're an American citizen, we are one. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But if you're a criminal, and that includes sneaking into America, and you're a criminal, well, then we are not one, and you have something to deal with. Now, I will say this. I have compassion for the young children that were brought here. I look at them as victims of crime. And the criminals who victimize these children are their parents. They may have been well-intentioned, but they put their kids in a very tenuous situation. Now, somehow it has become our job to clean up this tenuous situation. I want to show compassion for children that came here 4, 5, 6 years old at no fault of their own. Some of them are students at LA Unified. But this idea of offering up workshops of how to evade the system, how to evade ICE agents, to me, it's horrible. Principals are encouraged to share this opportunity, talking about trusted nonprofit experts. They cover key topics like legal rights as immigrants, education, housing, health, and more. While not offering legal advice, the workshops provide vital tools, resources, and connections to help families stay prepared and resilient. AKA, what that means is these workshops help families evade ICE. It's awful. So again, I'm grateful to all of you that came on Sunday. I'm grateful to all of you that gives me tips like this. LA Unified needs to answer for this. And of course, this No Kings flyer that was in the teachers' lounges, LA Unified needs to answer for how they're allowing politics like this, but they're in cahoots together. The unions, administration, the anti-American way, anti-Republican, certainly anti-Trump, you better believe it. All of it goes hand in hand. And to me, quite frankly, it's despicable behavior. And to think that our children are learning from these anti-American lunatics. If your kid goes to LA Unified, you better rethink that. I mean it. This goes for nearly every big blue city across the country as well, by the way. It really does. All right, real quick. I want to go out to line 3. Ben from Corona. You were at Town Hall on Sunday. What say you?
Yes, I was. I just want to tell you, you guys really did a great job. I haven't seen how you controlled all the speakers and asked really good questions. I thought that was great. One thing about the protests, unfortunately, they're all my age. The question they should have been asking them is, are you happy that you don't have to pay taxes on Social Security anymore? I would have liked to see what their response was for that.
Yeah, interesting.
Also, this this Sunday at our church, Calvary Chapel Corona, we're going to be collecting ballots during the morning services between 9 and 12:30. So anybody in Corona wants to drop off their ballots, don't trust the mail, which I worked for 30 years, and I know it's not a good idea to mail it. Stop by our church, and we'll take care of it and get it to the voter's registration safely and securely.
You know, my grandmother used to send me a $10 bill for my birthday through the mail. It would be in a birthday card. I don't think anybody sends money through the mail anymore. Would you, as a former postal worker?
Well, I tell you, back in I've been retired now for 25 years, but every time somebody sends money in the mail, it seems like all the bad people that work in the post office seem somehow to know that and get that. So, no, I would not send money in the mail at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ben, thank you so much for your phone call. I appreciate it. And thanks for coming the other day. We were grateful that you and so many others were there. You know, this money in the mail, first off, you write happy birthday on the outside of a card. That's basically a tip off that there could be money inside the card. The other thing people send are checks. That may even be worse than money, because if you lose the money, you're only going to lose the money. You send a check through the mail, you've now given the criminal your bank routing number and your bank account number. Physical checks are the most ripe for fraud financial instruments out there. You can literally take that bank routing number and checking account number, print up your own checks. You can buy blank checks from Staples. I'm not teaching criminals how to do this. Literally, this is well known. They will drain your bank account. Stop sending checks in the mail. In fact, stop using checks. All right. For all you old folks out there that think Venmo and Zelle is more dangerous than a check, you need to come into the 21st century. Talk to your grandkids about this. Folks, I just read a report that shows Americans in record numbers are outliving their retirement savings. That puts you in a very precarious situation. Why is this happening? It's because the retirement strategies that most people are using are the same tired old strategies from the 1970s. What happens? Financial advisors get risk. The retirement companies get rich, but it often leaves you and your savings positioned very poorly. Companies like BlackRock and Vanguard keep getting bigger and bigger while your retirement savings struggle to keep up with the rising cost of everything today. It doesn't have to be this way. My great friends at Augusta Precious Metals have put together an important report tailored just for my audience. Many of you have over $50,000 in a retirement account, whether it's an IRA, 401k, or a TSP, which means you need to get your hands on this concise but powerful 2-minute report about how to take full control of your retirement and financial future. Here's what I want you to do. Visit grantlovesgold.com. That's grantlovesgold.com, or text Grant to 35052. Do it today. You'll get instant access to this 2-minute report. In it, you'll learn one step that you can take that will open the doors to a modern way to protect and grow your retirement. It uses the same strategies the wealthy use to protect their portfolios. Look, even companies like BlackRock and Vanguard are using these strategies themselves without sharing them with their clients. Well, now you can start taking advantage of them as well. So if you have over $50,000 in your retirement accounts, you need to contact my friends at Augusta Precious Metals. Visit grantlovesgold.com. That's grantlovesgold.com, or text Grant to 35052. Do it today. Your future self will thank you. We have Secretary Burgum is going to be here. Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, will be with us, and we're looking forward to having him on the program. There are some very important things happening today, including John Brennan. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you something. The season of retribution is most certainly upon us. The season of exposure is most certainly upon us. John Brennan, the former CIA director, has now been referred to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. Now, why does this matter? because John Brennan, along with James Comey, were the two heads of the two-headed snake. You had the FBI, you had the CIA, all targeting President Trump. So the House Judiciary Committee, led by Jim Jordan, has referred Brennan for prosecution. Why? Because he lied to Congress. So is this where we want to get these guys? It's not my first crime that I'd want them charged with, but I'll take it. I'll take it any way I can get it, because right now I've been waiting a long time for some of these cats to be held accountable. Now, did they engage in more serious crimes? Of course they did. But we'll start with the little ones, like lying to Congress. So this all stems from the 2016 Russian collusion hoax. Jim Jordan has said in his report to Pam Bonding that John Brennan, quote, knowingly made false statements during his transcribed interview in May of 2023. He, quote, made numerous willfully and intentionally false statements of material fact. What is Jim Jordan talking about here? Well, he's talking specifically about the Steele dossier. You know, this is this widely discredited campaign material concocted by Hillary Clinton's campaign to throw mud at President Trump. Well, instead of using it as campaign material, the intelligence agencies, along with the FBI, weaponized it against President Trump, pretended it was one of their own when it wasn't. It was paid for by Hillary Clinton. And I can tell you, even in the Durham report, if you go back to the Steele dossier and what John Durham thought of it, he said, quote, the FBI did not corroborate a single substantive allegation inside that Steele dossier. Not one substantive allegation could be corroborated out of the Steele dossier, and it was used so many times. Now, what did John Brennan testify to? He testified, and this is a direct quote from that day, that the CIA was not involved in the dossier. You'll have to go talk to the FBI about that. There's only a big problem with this. We now have reporting from now unclassified documents. We now have reporting from CIA whistleblowers that claim a CIA officer drafted a CIA report containing a summary of the dossier. Now, Brennan, with Comey, included that report in a post for 2016. And this was the Intel Community Assessment. They included a summary of the dossier. Now, if you go back to the John Bolton case, this becomes a common theme. They were taking what amounted to classified information or information they shouldn't have been using, hence the Steele dossier, and they were summarizing it. So somehow thinking, well, if I summarize this in a different document, then I can get around the fact that it either shouldn't be used or it's classified. That's what Bolton's accused of. This is what John Brennan is accused of. And apparently Comey and Brennan conspired together to use this Steele dossier in the Intel Community Assessment, the ICA, that was ultimately given to Barack Obama. Now, Brennan overruled, this is all according to congressional investigators, Brennan overruled CIA operatives that did not want this information being used. So Brennan overrules it. Why? Because he's in cahoots with Barack Obama. He's in cahoots with Hillary Clinton. They're trying to rig the election through negative information about President Trump. This is all part of the coup that they were trying to run in 2016. And in fact, CIA whistleblowers say that John Brennan was, quote, eager to include this information in the assessment. Now, this all goes back to John Brennan and his comments on the Steele dossier. let's go to some audio here into the throwback machine. This is John Brennan, cut 34, not knowing who commissioned the Steele dossier. Roll cut 34.
So, Director Brennan, do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
Do you know if the FBI paid for any portion of the Steele dossier?
I don't know. I know that there are press reports related to that, but I don't know. I have no firsthand knowledge of that.
Do you know whether any of the underlying allegations made in the Steele dossier were ever tested, probed, examined, cross-examined, whether the sources were examined for reliability, credibility?
I know that there were efforts made by the Bureau to try to understand whether or not any of the information in that was valid, but I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it.
All right. Now, if you listen to John Brennan in that clip, you know he's choosing his words very carefully. In many respects, he comes off to me as lying in that clip. You're telling me he didn't know Hillary Clinton had contracted to have the Steele dossier written? I promise you he knew. And I promise you, as he's pushing it off on the FBI, he knows that in 2016 he was, quote, eager to include the Steele dossier in a combined report with the FBI. But he's dancing around his answer there. I believe that's one place where he lied to Congress. Did the Bureau rely on the dossier for court filings? That's cut 35, Radar. Let's run cut 35.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications, petitions, pleadings?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a base.
So here's what's interesting. The CIA most certainly did rely on it because Brennan, now because of unclassified documents we know, was eager to include it in the community assessment, the Intel community assessment, which goes back to 2016. This testimony is in 2017. After all of this, we now have unclassified documents that prove that he knew about it, that prove that CIA operative says, do not include this in the assessment. We have unclassified documents that prove John Brennan was working with the FBI in all of this. That is a big, big problem. Let's roll one more. This is John Brennan on NBC, okay? Talking about this. Now, you can't be charged with lying to a reporter, but this is him now in 2018. It just goes to show you the history of lies that John Brennan has had when it came to the Steele dossier and weaponizing a piece of garbage fiction against President Trump. Cut 36.
Well, it was not a very well-kept secret among press circles for several months before it came out. And it was in late summer of 2016 when there were some individuals from the various U.S. news outlets who asked me about my familiarity with it. And I had heard just snippets about it. I did not know what was in there. I did not see it until later in that year. I think it was in December. But I was unaware of the provenance of it as well as what was in it. And it did not play any role whatsoever in the intelligence community assessment that was done, that was presented to then President Obama and then President-elect Trump.
The intelligence community assessment. He just claimed it did not play any role in that. It's what he told Congress. When we now have unclassified documents, thanks to Jim Jordan, the work of John Ratcliffe as the new director of the CIA, work of President Trump declassifying many of these things, that we've got absolute proof now. John Brennan, James Comey, you got Bolton, you got Letitia James, All these people are all involved in this. Adam Schiff, when are charges coming against him? All of these people need to be held accountable. The dominoes are starting to fall. I believe this is only just the beginning. Folks, what if I told you you could lock into up to 20% annualized interest on your investment, and this group would pay you that interest monthly, direct cash flow into your bank account? I'm doing this with the folks over at get20now.com. This is about Bitcoin mining. It's about taking advantage of the Bitcoin craze without the wild swings. You lock into, as I said, up to 20% interest, depending on the deal you make with them. And they have lived up to all their promises to me. Every month, like clockwork, I get that money deposited into my bank account. I've made a sizable investment with the folks at NFN8. I want you to contact them, get20now.com. Answer the call or call them back when they get with you. You'll be talking to one of the principals in the company. His name is Corey. He's a great guy. They all think like us. They believe in the same things we do. And I'm a big fan of this company, NFN8.com. So if you want to take advantage of the Bitcoin craze, but you don't want the wild swings, I want you to talk to the folks at get20now.com. That's get20now.com. Pay them a visit today. We are experiencing a government shutdown in the midst of a great resurgence of America. Everything's going great until, of course, Democrats want to shut us down. There's not a lot that we can do about it until Chuck Schumer gets off as you-know-what and turns things around. We got to make sure that happens soon. I want to welcome to the program somebody who I'm sure is not happy about the government shutdown. He is Secretary of the Interior for President Trump. Doug Burgum is with us. Mr. Secretary, it is great to have you on the program.
Great to be with you, Grant.
Well, sir, let me ask you, how's the government shutdown going for you, Department of the Interior? What does this mean?
Well, what it means for folks that are listening and for citizens across the country, Interior has got vast responsibilities across National Parks, Bureau of Land Management, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and many more, including all the permitting for work that we're doing on the energy side on federal lands. But the shutdown makes absolutely no sense because it's just putting a burden on small businesses and citizens. I mean, if you're running a small business in an entrance community to Yosemite or some other park in California, guess what? You're losing business right now. And we estimate that it's costing millions and millions of dollars a day for small businesses across the country. For what purpose, Grant? For no purpose. This is all politics. 5 more Democrat senators. You don't even need Schumer. We just need 5 Democrat senators. There's 2 in California that I can think of, Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla. Both of those guys could vote to get this government going again. And then it means, food stamps, jobs, revenue. And again, if Democrats think that they've got a better plan for legislation, then get the government back in business and then introduce a bill and see if they can get it passed in Congress. That's the way this country is set up to run.
One of the things I know you know this, California really suffers from wildfires. We're coming into wildfire season now. I wonder if this plays any kind of a role in the federal government's ability to react to wildfires. And maybe on top of that, what is your assessment of California versus the federal government and making sure we can prevent wildfires here? And who's to blame for some of what we've seen?
Well, even as the Democrats are shutting down the government, we're doing everything we can in the Trump administration to make sure that all of our firefighters are getting paid at work and have all full strength to keep, fighting the fires that they're fighting. There's 5 different federal firefighting agencies. 4 of those are Interior. One of them's in the U.S. Forest Service. But we're not legally, Grant, allowed to use when the government shuts down, we can't use appropriated funds. So we got to borrow money from other places, including the stuff that would be going, like we can take a recreation fee that someone paid last year, and we can use that to pay a firefighter now. But guess what? Then we're not doing the forest management. We're not doing the preventive work that can stop these fires in the first place. So government shutdown is bad for fires. It's bad for firefighters. And it's just completely irresponsible. The Democrats are shutting down our government when we've got important work to do.
What's your thoughts about Gavin Newsom? And we're talking with Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum is with us. What's your thoughts about Gavin Newsom and his blaming the federal government for the explosion of wildfires in this state, as opposed to taking some responsibility himself?
Well, it's a completely ridiculous blame game to try to play, because guess what? The fire doesn't know whether it's on state land, private land, federal land. It has no idea. What fires respond to is fire management, and one of the things that's gone on in states like on all up and down the West Coast is we're going to make sure we never cut another tree again in America, apparently, because that's somehow that's going to save our forest. The way we save our forests is actually getting out there and having timber companies cut and manage those forests. We can take care of wildlife, we can take care of the environment, and we can do timber harvesting. But we're the Democrats have worked. They've shut down oil and gas on federal lands. They've shut down timber on federal lands. They've shut down grazing on federal lands. I mean, the federal lands were all put together. Theodore Roosevelt put away a couple 100 million acres of federal land for the benefit and use of the American people. This is Americans' balance sheet. The Democrats like to talk about our debt, but what we need to pay attention to is how they've mismanaged our assets. And with the Trump administration, when we're out there, if we're selling a timber lease and we've got a private sector company following the rules and cutting trees, helping reduce the fire load out there, guess what, Americans? You're getting paid by that timber company. They're paying for the timber. If we don't do that and we don't get paid, it's a twofer, because guess what? We get to spend your tax dollars fighting a fire because we weren't managing our forests. So this administration, we want to get back to actually managing our forests, generating revenue from our forests. And if we can spend money building the timber industry back, then we can spend a lot less on firefighting. We spent 7 times more in the Bureau of Land Management last year on fighting fires than we did on revenue that came in from lease sales, and that's what we inherited from the Democrats. Well,
you're going to trigger every liberal out there when we talk about building back up the timber industry, but it is one of our most important assets here in this country, which brings me to another story. I hadn't heard about this, Mr. Secretary, but and I will preface it with this. You, sir, Doug Burgum, and Senator Kennedy of Louisiana are 2 of my favorite guys in government. I mean, I love what the both of you are doing. You guys got a little sparring action going on over the spotted owl versus the barred owl, and this plan to cull 450,000 barred owls. And I guess this is about timber. Can you explain to me what this fight is over?
Well, I can tell you how this whole thing got started. It was under Bill Clinton, which is we stopped when we had a decline in timber harvesting in our country by the private sector. It began with a spotted owl, back in the 1990s, and now and we've got states like California and others that have followed suit on that and said, hey, we're not gonna harvest trees because we're going to protect the forests and the species that live there, so-called protect them. Then they catch on fire, and we have these massive wildfires because of the fire load. And now as a country, we burn more timber in terms of millions of board feet than we actually harvest. And in doing so, in California, the fires in California in the last few years, when you burn a tree, it releases CO2. There's been more CO2 released from California wildfires than all of the efforts to tell citizens, what kind of car they can drive or what kind of gas heater they can get for their home in an effort to control CO2. And then on the forest side, all the CO2 is being released. So again, we're working with Senator Kennedy. We're working to make sure that we've got a plan so that the Environmental Species Act, which was another thing that's been weaponized the last 30 years, I call it the ESA, the Environmental Species Act, is not environmental, but Endangered Species Act, the ESA, that thing is like the Hotel California. 97% of the species that have ever gone on the Endangered Species Act have never come off. We have to be a country where we celebrate when something comes off. When it comes off the list, as opposed to celebrating when it goes on the list.
And so, Mr. Secretary, why, it's funny, the spotted owl, we all remember that. I mean, we use that as we're going to, that was an example from many conservatives that, we're going to not cut any trees because of the spotted owl. what is the deal with the barred owl? So do we have to kill these owls in order to take down trees? Is that actually what's happening?
Well, there's the research is showing that the barred owls are expanding their territory into forests, and then they're competing for habitat. They're out competing and further putting pressure on the spotted owl. So the theory behind this plan was if you can, balance and protect the spotted owl, then we can maybe get the spotted owl off the endangered species list, and then we can get back to cutting our forests. So that was the thing. The number you're quoting, I've not seen that in any plans from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. This was a $2 million a year effort. I've heard crazy numbers that have exaggerated that, but we're working that through and making sure that we have a plan. But the goal here is to make sure that we get back in the timber industry because, right now when we stopped doing it in America, we didn't stop using timber in this country. We just started importing it from other countries. And as you know, part of our Trump administration is we want to bring jobs back here. We want to bring manufacturing back here. I just met with a mill manufacturer yesterday from Idaho. He can shoot logs through a X-ray machine, a CAT scan at about 20 miles an hour, and it can read, everything, every knot, every bump inside that log. It's hooked up to a Bloomberg terminal, and based on the price of timber, it turns out 2x4s versus 2x8s based on the market price. So this is a high-tech industry, and these guys they can manage the forest in a way. This is not, some lumberjack with an axe like from 100 years ago. Just like every other industry, they've all become high-tech industries, and America's got to get back in these businesses and secure our supply chains.
It's amazing. And look, I know you're the Secretary of the Interior, not the Secretary of Energy, but you guys work hand in hand. Last question for you as I come up on the end of the break here. Energy in California. We have big oil producers now leaving this state because they just can't handle it. Quite frankly, I don't blame them. But, now Californians are looking at, $5.50, $5.80 gas.
Well, it's all policy driven in California and tax driven because other parts of the country are under $3, and so you got lots of people that are paying in some cases half the price for a gallon of gas is what your listeners are that are driving to work right now, and on electricity prices on both in New York, New England, California are triple what they are in some of our other states that have had pro energy policies. And there is hundreds of billions of dollars of capital that's going to be going towards AI. AI is going to change every job, every company, and every industry. And that money, that capital, those in artificial intelligence factories where you can turn electricity into intelligence, they are not coming to places that have high electricity prices because electricity prices is going to determine where capital investment goes. And so these policies are going to haunt California if they don't have the leadership that says we've got to get back in the game. We've got to have pro energy. And by the way, China's not taking the month off. Their government's not shut down. Those guys added 93 gigawatts of electricity just from coal last year. 1 gigawatt runs all of Denver in the Denver metro area. So they're not slowing down. And we're in an AI arms race with China. That's the existential threat we're up against. It's not 1 degree of climate change in 2100 from some flawed model. It is we've got to get back into building things in this America, and thank goodness for President Trump. He's a guy, he's a builder, and he's pushing everybody in the cabinet to get stuff done in this country, and we need that if we're going to remain the world leader.
Amen to that. Secretary Burgum, we so appreciate the work you, the administration, the entire cabinet is doing. It's so refreshing to see fighters and straight talkers, and I think the American people are grateful to it as well. We hope we get past this government shutdown, but keep up the great work, and I really do appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Well, thank you, Grant, and thanks to your listeners. You guys are making a difference as well, and thank you for keeping people informed and keeping people pushing forward because we are at the cusp of as you said at the top of the show, a golden age of prosperity because we got lower taxes, lower regulations, record amounts of direct foreign investment, and an administration that's cutting red tape on permitting, and we're going to actually start building things in this country again. And it's what we need to bring the jobs home and make America great again.
Amen to that. Secretary Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior, we thank you for coming on. And folks, the Secretary knows we got great fighters here in California. All of you listening, They're working for us. I promise you. I talked to folks inside the administration. Now we can talk to Secretary Burgum. They have not forgotten about California. In fact, they know in many respects this is exactly where the war starts.
If there's a diet plan out there, a weight loss device, anything you can think of, whatever you're thinking of right now, I tried it. It did not work for me. I even went to weight loss specialist doctors. They gave me all kinds of medicine. None of it worked for me.
Well, guess what did work for him? Energized Health, the protocol that worked for me. I lost 15 pounds in literally 2 weeks, and I've kept it off. John Jubilee is one of the founders of Energized Health. John, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Grant. Great to be here.
All right, so I imagine his story is typical of your clients.
Well, I'll tell you what, we love all of our clients. That's Jeremy Rhodes from Indianapolis, Indiana. He has a special place in my heart, Grant, because he's one of the guys that he was so prideful. He signed up for the program, very skeptic. He only signed up because we had a money back guarantee. He said, I know it's going to fail. I know I'm going to get my money back. He was in a wheelchair. He was in a wheelchair because he was bone on bone in both of his knees and more than 200 pounds overweight. Wow. So he was double the size that he should have been. And so, we don't get to meet people in person. They sign up online and they have their coaching is all done, like this on Zoom. But long story short, Jeremy had an absolutely extraordinary testimony. He grew back all his cartilage in his knees. He lost about 220 pounds of fat with skin tight as a drum. He got back his life. He's like jumping off of cliffs with his kids now, swimming with them in the backyard, playing basketball, running around like a little high school kid again.
Let me do this. Let me play a little bit more of it because I was watching this and I was like, I got to play this for my audience. Here we go.
And the only thing left were surgeries. So as a last-ditch effort, I called Energized Health, and John Jubilee himself called me back and made me some insane promises. I remember that day because I'm like, John, you're lying to me, man. The promises you made just aren't possible. I know a thing or two about medical science. It just can't be true. And he said, I'll give you a money-back guarantee. You try it. If it don't work, you get your money back. So I tried it, and I'm standing here 88 days later, and I'm telling you, it works. My numbers came back, and I have 107.7 pounds of transformation difference in 88 days. I have gained 31.8 pounds of healthy water. I have gained 28.4 pounds of healthy muscle. The part my wife likes the best, I have lost 51.6 inches. I look completely different. I'm ready for round 2. Best part about the program, you pay once, you can do it as many times as you want until you're happy with the way you look. I'm definitely doing this again. If you haven't, you should. The program's awesome.
John, I'll tell you, my results aren't as stunning as his because I was already in pretty good shape, but I wanted to tighten things up a bit. And I keep coming back to the Energized Health protocol. If I feel myself slipping, I just come back to it. It's been amazing.
Yeah, well, Grant, so one of the fun things is, and really what you said is so powerful too, right? So if you only have 10 or 20 pounds to lose, great. This is for you. If you have 200 pounds, which by the way, I love it that he gave us exact numbers, 88 days, 107 pounds of fat, 107 in his first 88. He did his next 88 and he lost about 108. So in 2 rounds of 88 days, 215 pounds. Guys, listen to me, not weight loss. He lost no muscle. He lost no hydration. And come on, you guys could tell even by looking at him at the end of round 1, right? See how smooth his skin was, Grant? He had no sagging skin. He didn't look like these Ozempic people that look like Shar-Pei dogs with their skin hanging off and they look all, because they lost their muscle, they lost their hydration. That dude looked healthy after 88, but you should have seen him after the next round.
It's amazing. I love you call him like a Shar-Pei dog. That doesn't happen because of intercellular hydration and what you guys are doing over at Energized Health. let me just put the website up on here for you. It's energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. There is a masterclass there. You can check that out as well. And John, as we talk about this, I want to ask you, we say intercellular hydration. How does that make all of this possible?
Well, it's all the difference in the world. It's all the difference in the world, Grant. Hey, you guys heard Jeremy. He tried every program. He bought everything. And by the way, Jeremy became a dear friend. He actually came, he owns car dealerships. He's a very wealthy, successful entrepreneur. And you know, Grant, he came for over a year. He was so thankful and so grateful. He came and he became one of our enrollment coaches. Like, he just wanted to help people. He was so excited, to share. So he kept his car dealerships and all that. But all the difference in the world, no matter what you tried, and he had tried hundreds of thousands of dollars of things. That guy had every machine, everything Gary Brecka ever said, or Grant Cardone, and, these $100,000 weight loss programs and, superhuman programs. He tried all that stuff. It was all just marketing. It didn't work for him, but this changed his life because we have the only patent pending science in the world that changes our body at the cellular level. And we address the mind, body, spirit issues that people have so they can really have real health.
Yeah. The website is energizedhealth.com, energizedhealth.com. And I'll tell you, John, to me, the secret was in the simplicity of it all, the ease of it all. I didn't kill my body. I didn't kill myself with the crazy diets. I really felt, I hate to use the word easy, but I don't know how else to describe it. And everything started going in the right direction for me. I'll give you the last word here, John.
Well, I would just encourage people that, hey, I have the same story as Jeremy, and it was just ironic, Grant, that I got to talk to this guy myself. And he called them insane promises. We just call them our normal daily promises, that we make to people. Oh, look, my daughter's little kitten. She got a new little kitten here, Elliot. Little Elliot just popped on screen.
All right,
hey,
so
Elliot.
Little Elliot probably weighs less than the 5 pounds that you hold. That's bigger than that cat. But you lose the size of that cat in no time flat, can't you?
Dude, you can lose 200 pounds. You can lose 200 Elliots. 200
Man, I'll tell you what. Energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. John Jubilee, as always, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Grant.
More than anything else, in California and beyond is homelessness. And I've long said, like the healthcare industry, all they want to do is make money off of healthcare. All they want to do is make money off of homelessness. I'm not sure anybody's really concerned with solving the actual problem. And then I see this report by the Capital Research Center titled How Extremists Infiltrated Homelessness Advocacy in America. And I'm not talking about like liberal Antifa extremists, which I'm sure they have as well, and they have. I'm talking about terrorists. Hamas. Some of this money is going back to fund the most evil, violent groups imaginable. So we had talked about this before, and I said, you know what, we got to get the people responsible for this report to lay it out for us. And the president of the Capital Research Center, Scott Walter, was kind enough to join us. And lo and behold, I believe his Zoom died. So, unfortunately, his Zoom is gone, and
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't see you there, but I hear you. So hearing is just as good for the radio as seeing. Scott Walter, it is great to have you on the program.
Great to be with you.
All right. So take me through this. What did you find?
Well, Christopher Rufo, who's one of the best people in this whole area, was kind enough to do the introduction to the report. He's the one who coined the term homeless industrial complex. So you have this vast array of groups, right, of varying degrees of craziness. Some of them actually do a fair bit of genuinely helping people suffering on the streets, but others are really more interested in advocacy, which is to say making noise, and litigation, which is to say suing various governments from the feds on down to do foolish things. And then some of them are even just genuine total radicals who don't care at all about the homeless and really just want them as props to prove that America is the worst country the planet's ever seen, and the evidence is these folks suffering on the streets. So that's one thing that we found. Now, you want to talk about, I know, some of the connections to Hamas and terror and the rest, and that's also in the report. Now, it's a long report, over 100 pages. You can get it at capitalresearch.org for all for the full details. But the thing to remember about the left is almost every leftist group is in favor of almost every leftist thing, right? Whatever the agenda item is, whether it's, Palestinians killing Jews, or whether it's handing out needles to addicts on the street, all the different crazinesses, pretty much all of them endorse all of those crazinesses. So you have, for instance, out in California there, let's take a good example. So the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is one of the top Hamas-friendly nonprofits in America, you wouldn't think that homelessness would matter much to them, but you'd be wrong, because a board member of CARE's California group served as senior advisor of homelessness to Governor Newsom's cabinet, and before that, he was a top homeless policy official for San Diego. So you have these bizarre crossovers between homelessness advocacy and American Islamic relations.
This report goes into the ideas of overthrowing capitalism. You have a group, Autonomous Tenants Union Network, ATUN, that believes overthrowing capitalism is the answer. And they also believe that homelessness helps push this in that direction. Is that correct? Same as Antifa. They love the idea of homelessness to create this chaos. Is that the gist of this?
Yeah, it creates chaos so that you just sort of don't know where everything stands. And B, they point to the homeless to say that's what capitalism does. It's not the fentanyl, it's the capitalism.
All right. So, and now you have the Tides organization as well, which we know is all has all kinds of negative connotations with what it pushes. Also anti-capitalist, also involved with homeless advocacy. Correct?
That is right. Because as you're making clear, the radical case is America's horrible, capitalism's horrible, the Western civilization's horrible. We got to tear it down and see people are suffering on the street because of it.
All right. I think the question people want to know is when people donate to some of these nonprofits, does money end up back in the hands of Hamas?
Well, that is not the easiest thing to document, right? Because when money goes overseas in either direction, you don't normally get to, it's not disclosed. But it definitely, in a lot of these cases, is going to people who support Hamas.
And is there any oversight at all from a federal government perspective to stop money falling into the wrong hands when it's given under the guise of, hey, you know what, we're going to help the homeless guy on the corner?
Yeah, that virtually the entire nonprofit sector is not policed either by federal, state, or local authorities. So nobody's paying attention.
Are these non-governmental organizations, we hear this term NGOs. Do these fall into that category?
Well, yeah, NGO is like UN speak for nonprofit in American English. But the thing to remember is that the name is non-governmental, but if you look at where their money comes from, it should be BGO, basically governmental.
Do these same groups and homelessness tie into the situation we saw with the illegal immigration into America? Is this all tied together in an effort to destroy this country?
Well, again, the more radical groups are very explicit that they hate America. Death to Israel, death to America, end capitalism, whatever that means. yes, they want to tear it all down.
What's the answer to this? So you've got this report, and I urge people to read it. I was fascinated going through it. What's the answer to this? What would you like to see happen?
Well, the first thing is, because there's so much governmental money going into these groups, the simple first thing is government at all levels ought to be turning the spigot off. There is no excuse for your tax dollars going into radical groups like this.
Well, it's fascinating stuff, and I agree with you. And I guess at the heart of this is that the federal government is giving money to these organizations that are really driving the demise of this country. And I appreciate the Capital Research Center for writing this report, pointing it out, and the boldness. I know you're going to join me tonight on the Real America's Voice show. I'm looking forward to that, too. We can break it down some more. Scott Walter, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's fascinating, folks. You know, these nonprofits, boy, they get in these inroads into the federal government, and the federal government just starts throwing money at these organizations with no accountability of where that money is ending up. You see this cell phone right here? This is supported by Patriot Mobile. They are my service provider. They're the official service provider of Stinchfield's Army. Why? Because the folks at Patriot Mobile think like us. They believe in the same things we believe in. They're putting constitutions in schools, 10 commandment signs in classrooms across America, supporting our veterans, fighting for our gun rights, fighting for right to life issues. You name it, Patriot Mobile is on the front lines. But beyond that, it's great service. You get to choose which network you want to be on. You get 100% U.S.-based customer service. So you know when you call, you're going to get an English-speaking person right here in America that's going to help you quickly. Their customer service, by the way, is fabulous. Switching is easy. Keep your phone, upgrade your phone, get a new phone, whatever you want to do. Patriot Mobile will help you. And when I tell you switching is easy, it literally takes minutes. So here's what I want you to do. Go to patriotmobile.com/grant. That's patriotmobile.com/grant, or you can call them at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT, and tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. So, you know, it's amazing to me, the political correctness of people in Southern California. Look, you've got a situation now where homelessness is out of control. We know that. Everywhere you go, you see homelessness. Well, Malibu apparently has PTSD after the Deadly Palisades fire. All right. And I don't blame these towns for having PTSD when it comes to wildfires. So 9 months after those fires, they said, you know what, as we're coming into traditional fire season, which is October to December, we better clamp down. And here's something they don't tell you in any of the news articles. They don't say, oh, they're not claiming that climate change is the cause of all these fires. They're basically acknowledging that homelessness is the cause of these fires, and homeless people are often the cause of these fires. So instead of worried about climate change, Malibu is saying, you know what, we need to remove the homeless people from these parks where wildfires could spread very quickly. And you know what they're doing? They're actually kind of taking a version of the Stinchfield plan for homelessness. They're removing these people to other jurisdictions. So they're taking them out of Malibu and dropping them off someplace else. Good. It's a start. And they're allowed to do this because the Supreme Court has ruled you can arrest people for homelessness. You can move people. You can kick them off the streets. You can write them tickets. You can do everything you need to do to stop it. Well, this order went into effect the end of September, giving officials in Malibu the authority to temporarily move homeless people out of the jurisdiction. But if you listen to these officials talk, those experiencing homelessness, we want to help the unhoused. It all just sounds so silly and so political. These people want to be homeless. They want to smoke their dope where nobody bothers them. They don't want to go to a shelter because there's rules about curfews. Some of the shelters, you got to show up for church at certain times. They don't want to do that. They don't want to follow the rules. No drugs allowed inside the shelter, so they'd rather live on the street. And that's the bottom line. And I hate to break the news to everybody. So this was from, what is this, Dan? Is this Channel 4?
This would be NBC4 LA.
NBC4, okay. They did a little story on this. Roll this clip.
Enforcement of homeless encampments.
What this does is it enables us to move a little faster because of the urgency. We can't wait 3 days, 5 days. If we're having Santa Ana winds, red flag weather, we can't wait.
Just across from Malibu City Hall sits Legacy Park, and benches full of items belonging to people experiencing homelessness.
Unfortunately, they don't have a home, so this is their stuff.
Though some in Malibu may find this concerning, Public Safety Director Susan Dueñas says these items are typically cleared out every night, so it's not the behavior the city is targeting.
There's nothing illegal about having stuff.
Instead, says Dueñas, Malibu's focusing on encampments. Since September 29th, when the local emergency was declared, if people are found illegally camping,
we would contact them, let them know that the fire danger is very high, and because of that, we can't have any encampments in the brush area. We provide them with alternatives. We have access to housing. I mean, last year we got 72 people into temporary and permanent housing.
However, if people don't leave, city policy calls for law enforcement to step in.
What does enforcement look like? Is that arrest? Is that prosecution?
It depends on what the crime was, and if it's a misdemeanor, it at most would be a cite and release, could be arrest, book, and release. Most of what we're seeing are misdemeanors. If it's a felony, that's very different.
According to the city of Malibu, in 2021.
So 72 people they arrested. That's not very many people for an entire year that they moved out of there. Now, there's nothing illegal about having stuff. She says, do you see how even the city administrator, and you should see her too, again, why do all these liberals look exactly the same? They all look the same. They're like zombies, man. So she says there's nothing illegal about having stuff. There most certainly is. If you're having stuff littered throughout the area, that to me is a crime. And so what she doesn't want to tell you is that, yes, they can be arrested. Yes, they can be moved. She dances around the issue because even the Channel 4 reporter talking about those experiencing homelessness knows that she doesn't want to get hammered by being not compassionate for the homeless. Just arrest them all, by the way. Here's how I would do it. You got one warning, okay? You either get out of here by tomorrow morning, and if you're not going, we're arresting all of you. And when we arrest you, we're going to take you down and we're going to book you. And you're going to spend the night in jail. All right? We're not just releasing you. You're going to spend the night in jail. And then when we release you, we are putting you on a bus and we're going to release you. You know what? You might as well just take them down to Skid Row in L.A. Okay? That's a hellhole. Just release them there and see how much they like living there. Make them try to get back to Malibu. I know all this sounds so bitter and angry, but you know what? People are tired of this stuff, and they do set the fires, and it does cause tremendous damage. So something needs to be done. So in one respect, I will applaud Malibu for at least trying to go down the road of this, and it seems like they're doing more than most cities. But I will also say, you know what? Just get some cojones, and if you're going to do it with a vengeance. Folks, do you know what Chagas disease is? It's disgusting. It's this rare bug called the kissing bug that bites you, and then you get infected with this parasite. Now, this was once considered a distant problem, but now cases have recently been detected in multiple U.S. states, including California, Texas, Arizona, and so many others. Now, early signs of this are fever, rash, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes. It may seem mild, yet over time, the disease can bring severe heart damage, digestive dysfunction, and yes, even death. Now, don't fear this, all right? The wellness company has a solution. It's a parasite cleanse. I just went through it, a total body detox. Ivermectin and mebendazole, FDA approved for human use. It's the solution. Ivermectin paralyzes and kills parasites by disrupting the nervous system, while mebendazole starves them by blocking glucose absorption. This potent combination delivers broad-spectrum defense against intestinal and tissue parasites. So what I'm telling you is it's most all of the common parasites that cause bloating and skin problems and brain fog and all of these things you don't want. go with the Total Body Wellness Company Detox Parasite Cleanse. Fill out a quick intake form. It is literally that easy. You fill out the intake form, you'll get a bottle of 90 capsules, 4 cycles, shipped straight to your door. Head to twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. Save $60 off plus free shipping. It is that easy. You just fill out that form. They will send it right to you. I promise you, it worked for me. It'll work for you. Get a Total Body Detox, the Wellness Company. Do it today. That is going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Listen, no matter where you're watching, please subscribe to the channel. Please copy paste the link if that's possible. Share it on all of your social media platforms. You can feel free to clip parts of this program as well and share it out. Just tag me at Stinchfield1776 and I will share your clip back. That I promise you, I can help you get some followers, maybe. You tag me, I'll share it back. All right? How about that for a deal? Again, we'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm so grateful to all of you watching. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you tonight.